actual contract for the works was granted officially 3 months after the company had already taken over the works, which negatively impacted their ability to make timely investments. And the next question from MP Bryson is, what are plans, if any, to tackle the sargassum seaweed influx? The sargassum seaweed influx has become a regular plague for the Caribbean islands in the last years. There have been various regional discussions about possibilities to tackle this problem, including one organized by Friends St. Martin a couple years ago. St. Martin at present does not have a specific plan to tackle this problem, other than to clean up the seaweed when it hits the shores in areas where the seaweed may become a nuisance to residents or tourists in the vicinity, and where it may pose a disturbance for the use of the beaches. Some have described this as mopping with a faucet open. In my opinion, this is a regional problem, and we need to collaborate with other islands in the region to discuss structural solutions. Next question is, have we noted any marine wildlife or fishery being hurt by the influx? We have not assessed or recorded the broader impact of the influx of the sargassum seaweed on wildlife and fisheries, but yes, there have been fish and turtles killed in Oyster Pond, Guana Bay, and Point Blanche areas. We have not received any information on fisheries being affected, but boaters are complaining about the sargassum seaweed being sucked into their vessels' intake valves. Next question from MP Bryson. Did VROMI Ministry get any advice from Nature Foundation or any other local institution regarding seaweed? The Nature Foundation has submitted a report in the past to VROMI and TEAT, the date is unknown, describing the challenges in dealing with the influx of the seaweed. There have not been any direct advice given to address the problem, rather mainly cautions about the manner in which it should be cleaned up, taking, for example, the existence of wildlife, the sea turtles, nesting grounds into consideration. The Nature Foundation does employ an early warning system to advise the government and others about the possible influx of the sargassum seaweed. Next question is the seaweed being disposed of at the dump? Is there extra strain because of that? Until now, when collected from the shores, the sargassum seaweed was transported to the landfill for disposal. This is an extra unforeseen financial strain for the cleanup of the shores. However, at the landfill, it is regarded as regular garbage and taken along in the management of the dump. However, another solution needs to be identified for the disposal of the sargassum seaweed. Because it is an organic material, and when it dries, it can also pose an additional risk for fires if it is not covered properly. Next question from MP Bryson. How is this presently being processed, and does VROMI have sufficient means to address this issue? The means to collect the seaweed are an unforeseen burden on the finances and the budget of VROMI. With the limited resources and required financial cutbacks due to the drop in revenues, this activity becomes problematic and is carried out conservatively and only when necessary. And the last question from MP Bryson is this being collected by regular waste management companies, or is VROMI collecting it? The seaweed is mainly being collected by VROMI services since the provision of suitable equipment to VROMI by the Netherlands post Irma. Those are the 9 trucks. It is the 9 trucks that we got after the hurricanes. When specialized equipment such as long booms is needed, this is contracted from local heavy equipment owners based on government rates, right? Yes. Okay, moving on to MP Silveria Jacobs' questions. Is it the intention of government to implement levies or environmental taxes to cover the cost of waste management? It is my view that government needs to raise additional revenues to cover the costs for a more responsible manner of waste management on St. Martin. In this regard, I believe it is necessary to implement a waste levy. However, such a proposal requires amendment to our current legislation and will have to be approved by Parliament. The next question from MP Jacobs is there any legislation required by Parliament to mandate recycling and or the implementing of fees for those not compliant? Amendment of legislation is required to mandate recycling and most certainly for the implementation of fees. However, I am of the opinion that if the provisions are made, such as separate collection bins and educating the public, recycling can be implemented to a large degree without legislation. I believe a large section of the community of St. Martin will voluntarily recycle or separate their waste if adequate provisions are made.
Tell them, connecting you.
GEBE has been faithfully serving the communities of St. Martin, powering your home and our economy. Come rain or shine, our qualified team of professionals are working hard 24 hours a day to provide you and your family with safe, reliable electricity and water. We use the latest technologies and test our products daily to maintain the highest international standards. Our friendly staff is always there to assist you, whether in person, over the phone, or online. We are committed to constantly improving our products and services, making them more efficient, effective, and environmentally friendly to serve you better today and our next generation of clients tomorrow. GEBE, powering a brighter future.
Our friend Megawati is here with tips to save you energy. 1. Turn your airco temperature up. 2. Use a ceiling fan instead. 3. Buy energy-saving products. Save some green with NVGEBE.
What is my stance against the remarks of the Kingdom Minister of Foreign Affairs on multicultural societies like St. Martin? I believe I expressed that in my opening statement. And I believe that the Prime Minister also expressed the position of government. And in my personal opinion, I also believe that the Kingdom Council of Ministers, the Dutch Parliament, should be the one that hold him accountable for what he says or does. MP Manuel asks, he'd like to know how many Dutch personnel would assist at the borders and where they will be placed. Also in relation to this, I would like to have an update on the drug trafficking case in which drugs were smuggled in military containers from St. Martin to the Netherlands. We have between 20 to 30 Dutch personnel, and the case that the MP referred to, that is still under investigation by the military police and the Public Prosecutor's Office of St. Martin and the Netherlands. And we have no further comments on that one. In In the event of a conflict between the Kingdom and Venezuela, will the people and borders of St. Martin also be protected? The ongoing situation in Venezuela has the attention of the Kingdom, given the geopolitical importance of Venezuela in the region. This is particularly true for Aruba, Bonaire, and Curacao, given their geographic proximity to and strong socioeconomic ties with Venezuela. St. Martin is more isolated from the situation and is not expected to be directly affected by the ongoing situation. As you know as well, we have had an increase in the movement, and those are being investigated and also being addressed by the relevant authorities. What is the difference between the Franco-Dutch Treaty and border control? The Franco-Dutch Treaty is a joint agreement between the Dutch and French government, while the border control is one between St. Martin and the Netherlands. So that's the difference between the two. Will the border control with the assistance of the Netherlands have an impact on the everyday trade with the surrounding islands? There are no indications that this will be the case, and nor have we been notified of any. How much money has the Netherlands thus far invested in strengthening the border control? How much will it cost St. Martin? I can give you the totals, and I can also give you the breakdown, but in 2018, we have a projection of close to 7.7 million, which includes the Coast Guard at 3.3, Customs of the Netherlands 709,000, Customs St. Martin 910,000, and the police force 2.7 million. In 2019, the total will probably is estimated at 8.7 million. Coast Guard 1.3 of that one. Customs Netherlands will be at 1.2. Customs St. Martin will be 755,000, and police will be 5.2 million. Overall, in total, over the 2018 and 2019, we're looking at about 16.4 million. Why do St. Martin, notwithstanding the existence of the Dutch, American, French, and Cypriot, need an ESTA to go to the USA, while U.S. citizens come here freely to the island? Nationals of the visa waiver program countries have to obtain an approved travel authorization prior to their travel to the U.S. The electronic system for travel authorization, which is referred to as ESTA, is an automated system used to determine the eligibility of visitors to travel to the U.S. under the visa waiver program, and whether such travel poses any law enforcement or security risk. ESTA approval authorizes a travel to border carrier for travel to the U.S. under the visa waiver program. And all private carriers must be a signatory to the visa waiver program. I have to open up another email to get to the other questions. Bear with me 1 second, please. The following questions came from MP Duran regarding the hiring by the police force as well as the status of the function books. A consultancy firm, the consultancy firm that prepared the function books pre-10-10-10 have been engaged to resubmit the function books for approval after a thorough evaluation. On what basis will staff be hired? The new staff is being hired based on the existing function book or the functioning function book.
Hey, Ma. How you doing? You busy?
I hear, just paying some bills, taking care of business, you know what it is?
I know, you're doing your online banking.
I don't have to stand in those long lines to pay bills. I can transfer when I want. I can check my account wherever. It's like the bank open 24/7. I even here checking the statement right now as we're talking. How's Miami?
Well, that's why I'm calling. I'm finishing up a few songs now, but I'm afraid that studio time might be more than I thought. And I was wondering if I could get some help with some funds, and I could pay you back as soon as I get back to St. Martin.
Let me check my account. How much you need?
I think 500 should be enough.
I can transfer it to you while online. Direct from me to you. No problem.
Great. Thank you so much, Ma. I'll get online with Viv now.
Alright, darling. You know who you're for?
I need to know who you're for.
Contact Wib today for your complete personal online banking experience. Available for all mobile devices. The Wynwood Islands Bank, now your online banking partner in progress.
A first set of activities focuses on restoring first responders' full operational capacity and on the emergency repair of critical public buildings, shelters, and housing. This includes the repair of police stations, of the fire station and schools, a large-scale roof repair program for homes of vulnerable groups, urgent assistance to the St. Martin Housing Development Foundation to repair social and affordable housing, and the acquisition of urgently needed fire trucks, ambulances, and emergency equipment. The government and the World Bank are also starting projects on solid waste management and debris removal, and an emergency income support and training program targeting economically critical sectors. Together, these and other priority projects identified in the governing program serve to address some of the most urgent needs of the people of St. Martin. To achieve its objectives, government will take steps to strengthen the government apparatus through capacity building and augmentation. One element in that regard is the establishment and manning of the National Recovery Program Bureau, responsible for executing and managing the recovery and reconstruction process. Government is currently in the process of recruiting personnel to man the Program Bureau. The Program Bureau will be financed through the Trust Fund and will assist the ministries with the necessary requirements of Trust Funds projects, including financial management, procurement, as well as social and environmental safeguards. Until the Bureau is fully operational, the implementation of the first projects that are financed through the Trust Fund is coordinated by the Interim Recovery Committee chaired by the Prime Minister. Madam Chairlady, members of Parliament, with its focus on rebuilding and reconstruction and taking into account threats associated with climate change, government is dedicated to mitigating risks associated with disasters and thereby will enhance the safety of our population. Capacity building regarding disaster management is therefore a key priority of government. Government has, as a result, embarked on a review of our country's disaster preparedness with an aim of updating existing disaster management plans. Government, among others, recognizes the need for a disaster management fund. It is therefore in the process of developing plans to realize such a fund. In the meantime, the government has joined the Caribbean Catastrophe Risk Insurance Facility, CRIF. The facility is designated to provide short-term liquidity if St. Martin is hit by a hurricane or other natural disaster. Government is, in addition to capacity building, in the process of taking steps to realize a number of institutional building initiatives. These include the introduction of the national ordinance regulating the Integrity Chamber and the development of legislation for the introduction of a gaming control board. Madam Chair Lady, members of Parliament, underpinning government's capacity building and sustainability agenda is its position that resilience starts with education. Important education policy initiatives in that respect include, first, the creation of a policy on building safer, resilient, and child-friendly schools for 21st century learning on St. Martin, with the support of UNICEF Netherlands. Second, the allocation of funds from the preliminary insurance claim settlement for the execution of school repairs for both public and subsidized schools. Third, the ongoing implementation of the I-STEP project in all public schools with the training of a group of 50 teachers and 25 school managers. Fourth, the decision of government to support the law program of the University of St. Martin in collaboration with the University of Curaçao. And fifth, the ongoing discussions with regional educational institutions to offer students additional affordable study opportunities. This by expanding the list of government's preferred educational institutions. During this parliamentary year, government looks forward to your support on these educational policies, and particularly where it concerns, one, the finalization of the draft ordinance on higher education, which, as part of the legislative process, has been shared with key stakeholders for their feedback. And two, the completion of the draft study finance ordinance, which is now before Parliament for approval. Madam Chair Lady, members of Parliament, to successfully rebuild a sustainable St. Martin, government considers the health and social well-being of the population to be of paramount importance. This calls for a healthy economy, a healthy environment, a sense of security, and a feeling of well-being.
It's been said that behind every door, possibility awaits. How much possibility depends on which door you open first. Every day, we help our customers discover the possibilities in their lives. It all starts with a conversation. Scotiabank. Discover what's possible.
Presentation on the floor of Parliament, you suggested that you, as a Minister of Finance, is willing to take a cut in salary. Is that something that you truly believe that you are willing to do? And what about a discussion with your members of the Council of Ministers? And if I may get to Minister Smith, you, as a parliamentarian, you presented a motion on the floor of Parliament requesting a cut in salary for members of Parliament as well. Did you request to your faction leader of Parliament to at least take up from where you left from.
I guess I'm first. Thank you, Stephen. The way you put the question, I mean, if I make a statement that I will take a 10% cut, then definitely I believe that I will take a 10% cut. So that for the record, thank you for the question. Indeed, it is a discussion that is ongoing, and we're close to taking a decision within the Council of Ministers. The question being, you know, if we take a cut, what do we do with the money? That's basically it. But this government is committed to lead by example, and we'll follow up. But definitely, I believe what I say, and I stand for what I say.
Motion was passed in Parliament, and it was referred to the general cost-cutting measures that were part of the government package. And as my colleague, Minister of Finance, indicated, that is still in discussion. And I'm sure that when the Council of Ministers has finalized that aspect, it will come again to Parliament for approval.